What's the biggest misconception about the Maroons? Or what's the worst thing that you've heard somebody say about Maroons, or the worst thing that you heard somebody say that's bullshit, that's kind of like floating out there about the Maroons?
So we are sellout. Like, we used to capture slaves and return them and all of them. You know what I mean? How comes we become from raiding plantations, taking our slaves from plantation? You get me idea? Or from taking our slaves from the plantation to be capturing slaves to bring back to the plantation. Or we move from that so fast. You get me idea? How, and when you look into it for sure that in any way those people at the time that lose the war against us, in any way, form or shape, they will get to disgrace us. You get me idea? They would find a way to. You get me idea? So they will have to. Who give us these stories? You know what I mean? Who give us these stories? Which one of our ancestors did write anywhere show you that, yes, we used to capture slaves and return them to plantation?
Right. Which one of our ancestors said that?
Yeah.
Because for them, that would make sense for them to say that.
You get me idea? So which one of our ancestors did write in any book and say, so that's a big lie, brethren.
Right on.
My thing is until, so how comes we move from say raiding plantations, brother, to let our people escape, to come to the mountains, you get me idea? To catching them. You get me? How comes we would have strike a deal like that? What would have make us strike a deal like that? And that's the biggest thing now where even as a youth growing up in school, is like you never really want to associate with your own self. Because people are telling us, yo, now sell out and capture slave. You get me idea? And within this time, me now, because I used to write in our DNA, and me know now right now, so me no feel like me would have capture nobody, me want more liberate people. You get me idea? So why my family, them, that same DNA will run through me. We don't do anything like that. You get me idea? So that's the biggest misconception for me. Like, yo, the biggest disrespect. You get me idea? Like, them show you over time where them did pray that we brethren. You get me idea? So there's no way, not all the letters, when you search the English archive and search the letters that them have been writing and all of these things, people need to go out and search for these things. You get me idea? And read it to show you how fearful they were of us. So how comes we get to the point of agreeing with them to capture people to bring back to them?
Yo, you know.
You get me? But they don't teach us these things in school. You get me? All you know is just that, oh, she fight the battle against the English and there was a treaty. You know what I mean? And when you look through history, you see that our mother didn't really sign any treaty with them because she know that was, you know what I mean, based on what them want. You get me idea? And then there are things that they say they grant us land. You get me idea? And how could you grant somebody something that belongs to them? We were here before you. You get me?
Can you break that down?
Because, alright, so we're going to use based on what them said to we and not what me said. You get me idea? So, based on what they said to us is that Christopher Columbus came here, you know what I mean, in 1492. You get me idea? And he came here and he saw people here. He tried to slave them and then kill them out. All of that isn't true either. You get me idea? And from that, then they say the English came here and the English and them have a war and the English won that war, and during that war, slave used to help the English, slave used to help the Spaniards, and some of them escaped, run to the mountains. You get me idea? And if them run to the mountains within that time, then there must be people within the same Arawaks people that they stay, which is the Tainos, that would be in the mountains at the time. You get me? Based on the word Maroon. That is a Spanish name, so simple meaning in Spanish that were here, then they know that people were living in the mountains. You get me? And this is what they call them. You get me? Wild. You know what I mean? You know what Maroon means. You get me? And then it came down to an English word which is Maroon. You get an idea? It's not our name really and truly, but within this time. You get me? So then meaning if this is what they said to us, you get me, showing that people run away during the slavery, when the war happened, people run away. So this is African people and Taino people make in the mountains together. You get me idea? So this is long before the people were here, and then now people were there in the mountains. So simply meaning we had this space before them. So when you look at the time to the treaty, you get me idea, to then you realize that that's a lot of years of people believing that, meaning you establish yourself within that space. You get me idea, that like 300 years. You get me idea, within the space. So you know that this space was owned, this is indigenous space. You know what I mean? Owned by our people. You know what I mean? But these are not things that they taught us in school, because they don't want us to even to feel connected to anything, that we own anything. We were just slaves brought here. And you know what I mean? And that is what they want for all and pan through history. Being slaves. You know, not being people who own free people, governing our own issues. You get me idea? So it's just based on them thing there, you get me? You ask a question, what is our vision for move forward? Some of these things would have to be in the vision plan. That's why I tell you now, I couldn't look past the educational part of it now. You get me idea? Because some people that say, why? Because we have to educate the people first. We have to make them know what them word first. Then we can go as a unit now for demands what we really, or what is really ours. You get me? So far that enough people don't understand about the Maroons was that again that we were the first to win against colonialism within our space. You get me idea in the Western Hemisphere. You get me idea? We were the first. You get me? We were the first to win against slavery. You get me? Asian Revolution, the American Revolution, all them others follow after. You get me idea? Marcus Garvey, there's a book called From Maroons to Marcus. You get me idea? Someone need to check out that book that too, you get me? But it show you him lifestyle and thing, but it show you now, so these one, Bookman. You get me idea? They were all
Bookman, yeah. You say Bookman, so speak on that right quick. Yeah,
Bookman was a Maroon from Jamaica that left and went to you know, be a part of the Asian Revolution. You get me idea? That led to them independence. You get me idea? So these are stories that are not being told